expectations lead to improved performance in other people. First described by Rosenthal and Jacobson in 1968, it gets its name from the Greek myth of Pygmalion, where a sculptor's great expectations for his statue result in it coming to life. Essentially, when teachers or leaders expect more of others, those individuals perform better. The Pygmalion effect, also known as Rosenthal effect, denotes a psychological phenomenon wherein high expectations induce improvements in performance in a certain field. When we expect certain behaviors of others, we are likely to act in ways that make the expected behavior more likely to occur. It is a positive form of self fulfilling prophecy, wherein the objects or the targeted individuals of projections internalize the optimistic labels they receive and succeed to conform to those labels. This implies that sanguine expectations on a leader's part could lead to improved performance by followers. Robert Rosenthal discovered the Pygmalion effect in a groundbreaking study in 1964. In introducing the concept in their book, Rosenthal and his colleague Jacobson drew on the Greek myth of Pygmalion in Metamorphoses by Ovid. Pygmalion, in this story, was a sculptor from Cyprus who ended up falling in love with an ivory statue of a woman he had made. Enamored by the statue's beauty, he begs the gods for a wife resembling its likeness. The gods respond by granting Pygmalion's request. The statue subsequently comes to life. Centuries later, George Bernard Shaw's play Pygmalion would convey the point as well. In it, Lisa explains the difference between a lady and the flower girl is not how she behaves but how she is treated. Centuries later, George Bernard Shaw's play conveyed this, that I shall always be a flower girl to Professor Higgins because he always treats me like a flower girl. Robert Rosenthal subscribed to the hypothesis that expectations can engender self fulfilling prophecies by inducing corresponding performance. He chose an elementary school in California for his study and administered an IQ test to each student. Having tested all the children's IQ, the researchers selected a sample of children at random and informed the teachers that these were children of high academic potential. Following the test, the teachers were given the names of the intellectual bloomers, but no scores were disclosed. At the end of the school year, all the students retook the test. While the overall scores had risen, the purported intellectual bloomers had improved the most. The evidence seemed to indicate that the teacher's expectations constituted a contributory variable in the student outcomes, especially in the youngest students. The teachers had bestowed more attention on the intellectual bloomers. Though with subtlety, the teachers had treated these students differently, providing in depth feedback. Rosenthal concluded that even inconspicuous factors such as attitude and mood could impact the students. It bears noting, however, that this experiment was not without its drawbacks. The efficacy and reliability of IQ testing has been challenged even by those supporting its administration for limited purposes. Moreover, some people can be more susceptible to labeling effects than others. How the Pygmalion effect works, let's understand. The operation of the Pygmalion effect, similar to that of a self fulfilling prophecy, can be understood as progressing through four stages in a cyclical pattern. Others' beliefs about us shape their conduct towards us. Their conduct towards us influences our beliefs about ourselves. These beliefs, in turn, impact our actions towards others. Our actions toward others influence their belief about us, thereby returning us to the initial stage. A central tenet of Pygmalion effect is that others' expectations of us can eventually influence our behavior in a significant way. In other words, low expectations could ultimately lead to poor performance, while optimistic expectations would likely improve our performance. Let's see some examples of Pygmalion effect. Everyday life abounds with readily observable instances of the Pygmalion effect. The manager of an insurance agency, for example, might decide to categorize various sales agents based upon their past performance. She might label them as excellent, average, and below average individuals and give each group different targets to accomplish. The excellent group, by virtue of their label, would receive not just a boost to their confidence but also a greater challenge to meet. This in turn would significantly influence their conduct. They would strive to improve their productivity and devise innovative methods to accomplish this goal. Succeeding eventually would reinforce the label of excellence attached to them. Thus, the optimistic expectations projected upon them would likely engender a virtuous cycle conducive to high performance. Conversely, those for whom lower goals are set do not have the same incentives to perform like their counterparts from whom much is expected. Consequently, unsurprisingly, many of these average and below average sales agents would likely produce at best mediocre results. The expectations of those occupying positions of authority in various fields, from the business world to the battlefield, can readily impact the performance of their subordinates. As such, finding means to leverage this reality to optimize the work done by those whom one can influence could be immensely beneficial. What are the ways to use this effect? The first thing is you have to cultivate awareness. You have to know how you can impact others. Becoming aware of how one's spoken words and body language convey potent messages to one's subordinates is a prerequisite. Then you have to identify strengths and weaknesses. Praising meritorious conduct often constitutes a powerful impetus for the continuation of laudable behavior. This is especially true for persons with a propensity to please their superiors. And the third thing is setting challenges. Creating high yet realistic goals can convey the expectation that such objectives could be met by pertinent individuals. For example, the training of Olympic athletes and special forces soldiers amply demonstrates how difficult goals can encourage not just an improvement but peak performance by translating high expectations into crucial behavioral changes. This is how the Pygmalion effect works. Thank you so much for listening.